That's a hot take.
Swinging around American flag, because that's what America's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like permanently chill.
The insurance commercial has a fat ass, but like no personality.
Yeah, I feel like sitting here and listening to this.
No, god damn it. Isaac, New Noise is not the first fucking refused album.
Rip Isaac a new one today. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Don't touch my records. Ever.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Hot Takes. Oh my goodness, I sure hope you guys didn't hear me talking during that intro. Oh man, Chris is not here for today's episode. It is just me. So, welcome to Hot Takes. Hot Takes is the internet's only Vaporwave talk show. There has never been a Vaporwave talk show ever. No Vaporwave podcast. Nobody's talking about Vaporwave. We're the only ones. So, welcome to Hot Takes. To all you lovely people that are regulars, thank you for tuning in tonight. To all you new people, welcome. We're excited to have you here. My colleague is not joining us for tonight, so it'll just be me and the homie Keith. And the Keith, by the way, that I speak of is none other than Mr. Keith Rankin, acclaimed leader of Orange Milk Records, Giant Claw himself, and the third member of revered Vaporwave trio, Death's Dynamic Shroud. Very excited to have a good friend on tonight. And we're excited to have you guys, of course, more than anybody. So help me out. Keep me honest about audio levels, if the music's too loud, if Keith is too quiet, if I'm too loud. If I need to mute Dr. Chris's mic, obviously, let me know. So now that we've established what Hot Takes is, I'm going to start us off with some recent recommendations. So, as you know, I get my feet wet in a lot of different genres, but Vaporwave, of course, being one of my favorites, I decided to dive deep in the back catalog of one Vincent Remember. Many people know Vincent Remember for his collaborations with... Gosh, I'm blanking. Who did he collaborate with for that one out? Oh, yeah, it was... Oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. Anyways, I downloaded the... Oh, Telepath, that's right. I downloaded the album that he released on... Oh, hey, there he is. Hey, okay. Thank you, Lux. It was Telepath. So, Vincent Remember's got a solo album, of course, called Power Decisions, out on Business Casual. Came out in like 2016. Solid album through and through. One thing I love about Mark's flips is that he typically chooses music that is important to him from his childhood. So I really like his Michael Jackson flips, his Janet Jackson flips. Chris, I told him you weren't joining me tonight. Sorry, I fibbed a little bit.
I was making some green tea for myself. I'm sorry.
Good man. Downloaded a Waterfront Dining album. Where do you start with Waterfront Dining? I don't know. But I got a release of his called New Horizon. Pretty good, pretty solid. Good vibes all around. I'm going to put in another mention for an artist that I name dropped a couple episodes ago.
Farplane says music could be turned down 30 to 50%.
Okay. Thank you, Farplane.
Thank you, Farplane.
This song might just be mixed a little high, but let me go ahead and look at that. Loft Tapes is another artist of note. Loft Tapes, of course, has like a bit of like hiragana before just the word tapes, and they make like vapor-inspired breakbeats. So like this one album called Track Pack 1 that I got has a flip of Sade's Couldn't Love You More, a flip of White Snake's Is This Love? Really great flips, and then of course breakbeats over the top. Yeah, those are gonna be my recommendations. Oh, I finally downloaded Birth of a New Day. I don't know how I made it this far without having Birth of a New Day.
I've never listened to it.
I mean, you know,
I've never heard it, actually.
It was the first Vaporwave album that made it into Rolling Stone.
I know.
I'm a big Telepath fan, so I mean...
I'm a big Telepath fan as well. And a big fan of like early Hong Kong Express and such, too. I just never listened to that album.
It was... I mean,
was it good?
Yeah, I did like it. You know, and some people busted my balls a little bit for not having Birth of a New Day and for posting Birth of a New Day all over my socials.
I never listened to it either, but
I mean, it's good. It's
understand here's the thing is that I've been in like Vaporwave, you as well, have been in Vaporwave for a long time.
Yeah.
So when that album came out, it wasn't like that. For a lot of people, I think that's their in to Vaporwave, right? They start with that, or Vaporwave, or Dream Park, whatever you
or
want
the
to call it.
Macintosh Plus album.
The world of this music scene, right? That's
Yeah.
their way in. A lot of times with that album, but for me, that was another album that came out amongst dozens of others, and I was like, I didn't get to it.
And
I will
I
get
don't
to
know
it one
about you,
day.
man, but in 2014, I was really into like
But
outrun
it's a great.
synthwave.
I will listen to it eventually. But,
you should, man.
you know,
I
'cause do love
completely
Telepath.
ignored Dream
I do
Catalog
love
when.
a lot of Hong Kong Express's music. So
Did you jump
I will
on the
listen
Dream
to it
Catalog
eventually.
train like right when it started, or I was late to that game?
yeah, of course I was listening. Well, Dream Catalog was one of many record labels that I was keeping an eye on, and another one, of course,
Good on you.
Orange Milk Records, who's going to be coming on again. To me, I think a lot of, and even and Business Casual, these are all like, you know, like we predate all this stuff. So it was like it wasn't.
I mean, I remember when
You know,
Dream Catalog
it
was new.
I remember
you
they were
know?
all stuff I kept an eye on, but they weren't my way into Vaporwave because
Right.
it started so long ago that it didn't even have a name yet. So
I remember when Luxury Elite and Saint
I
Pepsi
never
was new,
developed
and I was
like
like,
a cult like.
I don't know about that
developed,
Saint
like,
Pepsi
a cult
shit.
like following to any artist because just you know, when you watch the entire scene grow up, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you just been here for a long time, and you know, I never really developed like a cult like following to any.
How do you feel about
I
what
will
all
say,
your
if
little
I
children are
had
running
to
around
pick a
doing?
cult like following to an artist, it would be our buddy Keith, because that man
Oh, yeah.
is light years ahead of everybody, and continues to be light years ahead of everybody in sound design, in ideas. He
Keith
was always ahead of
might
the
be
game.
one of
That
the
was-
most
I remember
important
when
experimental
Keith, like,
musicians of
oh
our
my god!
time.
I remember when I got exposure to Giant Claw when I first started listening to his music. I was like, oh man, like this is
It's
so
very,
far
very
ahead
left
of
field.
everybody else in music in general, in my opinion. I don't want to make him blush too much, but that's just how I felt. And you know, I remember just like cheering so hard when he would get when the album came out, Dark Web, yeah. Album came out, and he was getting all this attention from NPR and such, and like that was a really big deal back then to anybody.
I remember
for
when he
anybody
did the art
in
for
that
that
scene
one,
to get
like,
attention.
it was like an airport or like a train station, and he did the art for it, and it's in Asia somewhere, and I was like, wow. And then he's had art in like magazines for articles and shit, and I'm just like, hey, somebody
and that
made
was a
it,
big deal
dude.
back then for anybody to start getting any kind of attention, and you know, he was one of the first people to really rightfully start getting attention from the outside media.
Hell yeah, man. We're excited to have him on. And it looks like the chat is as well. So anyways, those are my recommendations. I believe you have a hot take prepared to warm us up, do you not?
Sure, why not? Let's talk a little bit about some things that I find always interesting. I always try to look for like odd generational divides between like, music taste. And I don't think that this divide is really going to apply to anybody in the chat or anybody really in Vaporwave or the Vaporwave adjacent world, because everybody in this world is pretty like open with their music taste and pretty fluid with their music taste. But, I notice a lot of people, they kind of, it's like what they find cool. And this, I think, really more applies to like, the dilettantes of music, the dilettantes of cool music, right?
Yeah.
The ones who are very surfacey. It's like there's like, it's like what they hear in their early 20s is what they decide is cool. And then before that and after that, not so much, right? So I'm going to ask you, Isaac, this question. If you had to pick, like, we're just going to stick with like maybe like our sort of generation of early, late millennial and early millennial, late millennial and late millennial and early Gen Z. Now, I'm going to ask you this question. If you had to pick a band that like is like the sort of dividing line in the sand between like late millennial musical taste and early millennial musical taste, like, well, who would you pick? Like, who would you pick? Like, if you're not really into this band, you're stuck maybe in the late millennial music taste.
So I would probably have to go with either one of those like 60s rock revival bands like Interpol.
That's
maybe,
interesting.
or like Animal Collective.
That
Back when people were still
like
using
early.
guitars, not as much synths.
So that's
Who would you
very,
pick?
Very interesting choice. That's a really good choice. So I would pick for like, if you find yourself really into, like the second Crystal Castles album, but you never got into Death Grips, I would say you're kind of stuck in early millennial music taste. And if you're into scripts, but you don't find yourself getting into 100 gex, you're probably stuck in late millennial music taste.
Damn.
And I very eagerly anticipate who's going to be the dividing line between like the early Gen Z and the late Gen Z.
Oh man,
taste.
Farplane says LCD sound
eventually.
System. That's a good one.
Oh, LCD sound system is phenomenal.
That's
it's a good one too, for
Great
sure.
choice.
But I want to know. I'm wondering. It's too early right now, but at some point there's going to be a band that the kids who are into 100 gex are going to like, but they won't like this other band that the later Gen Z people like. And
it's
I can't wait to see who that's going to be because it always happens. It always happens. Like I just said with my little example, and you can pick this for a lot. It's like you'll find a lot of early millennials who like cool music, and then post the second Crystal Castles album, not so much into the more anything experiments beyond that. And like Death Grips, they won't get into Death Grips very much. But then like you see the late millennial kids, they're really into experimental sounds and music, not so much 100 gex. And so it's going to happen with the Gen Z kids too. And I can't wait to see, I sort of devilish grin on my face. Can't wait to see all the kids who are like into 100 gex now. And then some band's going to come up and they're not going to get it, but the late Gen Z kids will get it.
Right.
And, and this doesn't really apply too much to the Vaporwave scene or the Vaporwave adjacent scene because we're all very interested in new music, looking backwards and forwards. But to like the dilettantes, like the dilettante cool kids,
the surface level
it's going to be a dividing line. And
watches the Criterion Collection once.
It's going to take at least 3-4 more years before it happens, but I'm excited. I can't wait to see what comes next. I'm always excited to see what happens next.
What do you think about deconstructed club music? Have we talked about this yet?
You've been wanting to talk about it.
Because you're always mentioning hyperpop. I feel like hyperpop is like the more bubblegum based, like kawaii. I mean,
I'm always mentioning hyperpop.
Not necessarily you. Lots of people do. But I feel like deconstructed club is the more like dark, kind of angry, like moody offshoot of like the hyper. It's like the yin to hyperpop
club again. You'll have to really like.
It's like Arca, Ash, Kusha,
oh, okay.
One O Tricks Point Never stuff could be considered. It's like, club synth
Giant
palettes,
Claw, a little bit like that occasionally too.
Yeah, very experimental. Sometimes there's like some metal heart aesthetics, or even like, you probably won't like the new metal inspired stuff. I'll call that. I'll call that.
Maybe I would. Also, I don't mind drawing. Here's the thing. I don't think that there's anything wrong with drawing influence from like genres that are maybe not as well respected, or maybe that you don't like, or that other people. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I think it's perfectly fine to draw from, old genres.
For sure.
Once they're over their peak, right? It's really interesting thing. Even if here's the thing: is like if you asked me, like I don't know if what's a good example of this? What do you think about REO Speedwagon? Do you think anything of them?
No.
Exactly.
Somebody said
REO
that
Speedwagon back in the 70s, people, or Journey back in the 70s, people be like, that's fucking bullshit. That's garbage. That's poser bullshit rock music.
Oh, man.
I fucking hate it. All the kids who are like into like Black Sabbath would call you like a fucking loser for probably liking Journey. They'd say you were like a poser and shit.
Right.
But now, when you look back on Journey, you're like, oh, it's all right. Or REO Speedwagon, like, yeah, cool. Yeah, all right. I don't have a problem.
Sure. I mean,
that's what people do with new metal. They can look back to new metal, even though I grew up during that phase and I was listening to like Dillinger Escape Plan and Converge or fucking like American Nightmare or Earth Crisis, and I would look at the new metal and be like, this is stupid. But
a lot of it
other
is pretty
people
stupid.
who didn't grow up in that era will look back on it and be like, what's the big fucking deal? It's cool. It's the same way that you can look back and be like, I don't know what the big deal is with REO Speedwagon. Sounds fine to me. But like the people who grew up with Black Sabbath will probably be like, that's stupid. But
yeah, man, it really kind of, I guess,
it's all relative. It's all relative. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right, and it's all based on what you were doing
back in the
when you were
day. Doesn't mean I'm right. I don't know. It's all subjective. I'm just here saying shit.
I remember reading somewhere that the average age that somebody stops looking for new music is like 33.
Ugh. Yeah, I could see that.
Maybe kind of sad
for most people, but
not me.
No, nah, it's never over. It's never over for me.
Well, I guess.
You want to bring Giant Claw?
Yeah,
Can we bring Keith on? Let's bring
Keith on.
Let's bring our buddy Keith on.
Let's take the static down and go ahead and unmute yourself, brother. Hey!
Hey!
Look at that beautiful man.
Hey! What's up, buddy? Thank you so much for being here, man. We were so happy to have you. We love you very much, and this is so exciting for us. Thank you, buddy.
You should have brought me in with the REO Speedwagon talk.
That's the goal. Let us know what you think.
REO Speedwagon. This is like you were chomping at the bit to get on about REO Speedwagon. Go for it, my friend.
No, I don't. I have no opinion either.
That's funny. So what act do you think is the dividing line between older millennials and newer millennials?
What's the age group there? Like, what is considered old millennial?
You know what?
Old millennial
Google
kids
to the
are like
rescue.
their early 30s right now.
Huh.
Early 30s, mid 30s right now.
Yeah, millennials are not children. We're very much like not young anymore.
Yeah, like I probably would be at the. Yeah,
I think what Chris said about like the 100 gex comparison seems accurate to me.
Oh, yeah, man. I consider that the dividing line between the late millennials and Gen Z. Like the early millennials, I don't even think they like have the ears to listen to 100 gex.
Probably not.
They barely have the ears to listen to Death Grips, let alone that.
It also depends, like,
There's different
layers of, like, musical interest. You know what I mean? It's like,
of course. I'm specifically referring to like yeah, I didn't mean to cut off. I'm specifically referring to like an edgy dilettante cool kid, basically.
Because there's like all the early PC music stuff.
Okay, yeah. The birth of hyperpop right there.
Yeah, that like spawned a lot of, clearly spawned 100 gex and all the... I consider 100 gex, I guess, kind of the beginning of hyperpop in my mind.
I thought it was HKE.
Oh,
Just
boy.
kidding. Sorry. Next.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's curious also about a general audience. Like, when you talk about popular music.
That's interesting, too. With a general audience, who would it be?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Well, I guess with a general audience, it would be like...
Lady Gaga, maybe?
No.
You don't think
yes,
so?
but I'm trying to think of like I'm not quite as familiar with a lot of very popular hip hop artists as I should be, and I'm sure you could find the dividing line somewhere there, right? Like
yeah.
a lot of times like between I can't. I'm not knowledgeable enough. Someone else is probably much more knowledgeable on this than me, and they could do it. But I'm so divorced from a lot of pop culture that I can't do it very well. And
Same,
you know what I mean? But I bet if you looked at the hip hop artists, like, like
there's like a big divide between people who are big on streaming and kind of like the breakaway from the Billboard charts, I guess.
If you want to look at go ahead. I'm sorry.
Where it's just like all the major label metrics were based on like a pre-streaming era.
Good
and
point.
So it's like they had all these
Nielsen
ideas about
shit.
who were the popular artists that once Spotify and stuff came on, it kind of like obliterated those ideas because you could see like the exact numbers that like kids were actually listening to,
Right.
And it's like who was the number one streamed artist like this year and last? It was some like rapper who was like most mainstream.
The Weeknd or something, maybe.
Probably don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Probably I don't even know.
Yeah, The Weeknd or
tell.
Drake or somebody.
No, it was like Bad Bunny or something like that.
Okay. I thought Bad Bunny made like reggaeton music.
I don't know. I don't know about these things.
That's
I
kind
should.
of rap adjacent, I guess.
Somebody, please.
It is Bad Bunny. For the last 2 years,
It was Bad Bunny? Okay.
It's the most streamed Spotify artist. Like, I just feel like a lot of non-kids don't know who that is or have never even heard of Bad Bunny.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should find a way to stream some Bad Bunny through this episode.
If you want to find like an interesting dividing line between even millennials and Gen X, just like what their opinions on rap music are in general,
Absolutely.
right? Like if you would like look at a typical Gen X person, they were the last generation to really grow up with rock as the number one kind of music on Billboard charts, right? You know what I mean? Like following, it was really like it was Nirvana's never mind that unseated Thriller, right, as the #1 album. So, you know, they grew up with that kind of as like, they're like the last generation to grow up with rock music as the most popular form of music. But once you get to the millennials, you enter like, you know, 1996 or whatever, and rap is no longer quite as dangerous because, you know, Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls are gone, and now there's a vacuum for who's going to be the more popular rap artist, and that's filled by Puff Daddy, right? And so Puff Daddy comes out with the song, you know, Mo Money, Mo Problems, right? And he completely revamps the way rap looks. Rap used to look like people in very, you know, it was like very like, it was like a very cool music videos back with like Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. It was very cool. Like it looked like a party that I definitely wasn't going to be invited to. Like I was definitely not cool enough or like you know authentic enough to go to this party where they're all dressed in black, drinking cool shit. You know what I mean? Like chilling next to these amazing cars, these interesting cars. It looked a little dangerous. It was very rebellious. But Puff Daddy goes in and he does something very interesting with Hype Williams, the music director, right? They're all wearing now like neon shirts and they're floating in space and there's fireworks and girls dancing in fun, futuristic, you know, that Y2K style aesthetic, right? And that like totally opens up rap music to like everybody at that point. And now it becomes the #1 pop music, basically. It's interesting. Yeah. He's a genius. Like Puff Daddy and Hype Williams, fucking brilliant people. Like they've really like expanded the whole scene to everybody, and it's made that the #1 genre. Anyway, I guess that's an aside, but you know that's an interesting difference. But that starts in the millennial at times, right? With millennial era.
I could see a band being popular again, like
sure.
Like if a really just like hard. Just like a really like intense, energetic band like played on Saturday Night Live or something like that. I can see it being fresh again, basically, like kind of like a Nirvana,
so
like
that's
a Nirvana experience.
Yeah.
So going back to the whole Nirvana and the whole like
get back
void.
To that point for 1 second.
All right, and then we'll go back to that afterwards.
Is actually like. Because we're talking about like a band being very popular, but what's really interesting is that like with a lot of the the Gen Z kids, there is like a revival of like the soft grunge sort of concept, right?
Yeah.
Where they're all wearing the baggy clothes, they look a little unwashed, they're skateboarding, they're listening to a lot of lo-fi bands. Like if you look at a band like
stuff.
Well, you look if you want to look at the bands they're listening to, like look at like a band like Idris, right? You know what I mean? That band is extremely popular, and it's like chill, lo-fi, garage rocky stuff. You know what I mean? And like that's pretty popular right now. Like I actually kind of thought like, oh, I don't know if rock music is going to be doing that. But then if you go on Spotify, like there's bands like that. They're doing incredibly well with.
They are bringing guitars back little by little.
But it's not very much like, you know, like we are primed, I think, for what Keith is talking about right now, right? Like you start like rock is like slowly like, hey, remember me too, and like doing that lo-fi thing, getting a lot of the kids going. Like the next logical step is possibly what Keith just said, like a big explosive like Nirvana sort of like big energy band, right? Because the kids will be listening to the iDresses and the other lo-fi bands like this for like a couple more years, but then they'll want a new development following that, and we'll see what happens, right? Interesting. Music is fun.
I think like the modern era also exposes kind of the illusion of like a monoculture which used to be around, like Nirvana or you know the Beatles. Like all these old groups were just like they were filtered through so few media outlets that it was like the whole culture didn't really have a choice about what was the like hypest thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just like that's going away.
Thank
like a
God.
lot. And so it's like with that goes kind of the idea of even like generational divides themselves. Like you know, it's all like a flimsy premise to even talk about to a degree. Like I don't know, like the divide between millennial and Gen Z. It's like the more that gets talked about, it's like the more power that idea gets. But it's like
absolutely,
it's not as many. I don't know.
I agree.
It's kind of an illusion a little bit, I think.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is an illusion, right? It's all just whether you choose to participate in it or not. A lot of people would hear the thing and choose to participate. You don't have to decide that like music is bad after 33, but they choose to participate in the idea that what they decided was cool in their early 20s is what's cool, and the kids after them, they don't know what they're talking about. You know?
That was your hot,
it's like people choose to participate in that.
I saw a tweet that was funny that was like basically saying what you're talking about, like saying that there's no talented musicians past the year 2000 or something like that.
That shit is so funny.
Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
I love the decentralization of the power in the music scene. Always in the Room brought up a really valid point. I don't know if you remember, but in the like mid 90s, some dude in Texas bought like all of radio and like started streaming nothing but that shitty like Limp Bizkit, like super macho aggressive white guy rock. No disrespect to Limp Bizkit, but I'm sure you remember like in the middle of the 90s, it was pretty diverse. And then in like 1996 or some shit, it became just a bunch of butt rock.
In the middle of the 90s.
Yeah.
Was it really that diverse in the middle of the 90s?
I would think that it would have been. I mean, you had the whole
guess
like
it was
Lilith
a little
Fair
bit because we had a lot of like
rock.
Daft Punk and there was a lot of like Electra, like Chemical Brothers, Fat Boys.
They single-handedly kind of killed that whole Lilith Fair movement. You know, and then thank God record labels and radio stations don't really have the power anymore.
And I guess like the punk rock music started gaining a lot more traction in the mid 90s as well because grunge was sort of on the downswing. So I guess there was like a couple year period where, you know, it was getting I don't know. What do you think, Keith?
Yeah, I mean, remember like in the 90s there was a lot of like kind of bizarre hit singles like
there were
Wumba or something.
Yeah.
Or like there was like a brief like swing revival, which was
the whole
like,
ska thing.
Man,
damn,
don't
start.
That was piggybacking off the ska movement, right?
Somebody get R23X in here.
Oh yeah. Mark loves ska very much so. Hey, he is right for loving it. he likes really good ska.
Ska was fun. What was it you said that it's the sound that a 5th grader hears when they get an extra mozzarella cheese stick?
Yes, that's what I said. I think I got that from a meme.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Pretty.
Well, I got a question for you, Keith. Let's get started on some exploring your tastes, man. Can you tell us the story about when you discovered your favorite act, or album, or even genre, if you want to make it really broad?
I mean, it's. I don't know if I have a favorite. There's certain things that I. Like, when I think about, like, what's your favorite question, it's kind of like, what have I been enjoying consistently for the longest time?
It's a hard question. I know.
I have a follow-up question to that, but what have you been enjoying consistently for a long time?
Yeah, so it's
let's just go with that.
I think of, like, things like a lot of anime soundtracks. It's like I was deeply, like, you know, like the Ghost in the Shell theme
very cool.
song. Like, when I was young, it's like, I was like obsessed with it, and I listen to it now, and it's still like I still love it on an equal measure as I did back then, or like the Akira soundtrack. So like stuff like that.
Gino Yamashiro. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. That guy.
The Yamashiro
Gumi.
Yeah, the orchestra. Yeah, I mean, all their records are amazing. Like I have, so things like that have like stood the test of time in my mind, whereas other things, you know, I've gone through a lot of phases. I think, like I went through a big progressive rock phase when I was an early teen, and some of that I still like a lot.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about you?
That is a very hard question. I don't know. I want to hear your answer to Chris's follow-up question.
Okay. I can answer Keith's question as well, but let me do this question.
Yeah, please do.
Which is like, I think it's one thing to say, you know, I think the question that I actually kind of want to know is, do you remember, and this does not have to be your favorite band, I don't expect it to be your favorite band, honestly, but do you remember the first time that you heard something that moved you deeply and made you think, I really like music a lot. I think I want to maybe get into this one day.
Yes, 100%. Actually, I remember I would listen to being a really little kid, just listening to the radio.
Yeah.
And like, I remember the Green Day song, I think it was Basket Case.
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. I'm cracking up and I'm just paranoid. Yeah.
And just like, I think it was maybe like the first time I heard a minor chord in a song or something like that.
Interesting.
But like, yeah, I was super young. It was just like on the radio, and I just remember being like struck by that like so intensely. Just like, what the fuck is like what's happening to my body? Like, why is the music? It's like, why is the music doing this to me? Like, I didn't even know this was possible.
Yeah, man, that's interesting. I love it. I love this story, man. I love how you're describing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Sick as fuck.
Yeah, so there was like there was a bunch of songs like that where I think it was either like just the vibe of the song or like the chord change and just like, I don't know, it's just like the music suddenly, it's like taking a drug for the first time, and it's like, I didn't know this experience was something my body could make happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that rare
magical
feeling when you can't stop listening to a song over and over. I try not to do that because I don't want to ruin music for myself. But once
That's
a year,
too.
maybe I'll find a song where I'm just like, God damn, this is good. Like,
sure.
This is going in every DJ set until I get tired of it.
For sure. There's usually a few albums a year that like hit me in that way.
I
just can't stop.
I found a shoegaze band in like the late 2000s called Rumskib that was from the 2000s, but it was like the best representation of, they're not well known, but it sounds just like early 90s shoegaze, and every single track is a straight banger. So I guess that would be my answer that you asked me, Keith, and I found it just messing around looking for shoegaze online in 2009 or some shit.
Yeah, Far Plane in the chat said "Kiss from a Rose."
Nice. That is like a powerful song. That's a powerful song.
And
I could totally see that. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, wow.
Like Whitney Houston, like the Bodyguard soundtrack. That one like hit me so deeply. Like, I was actually just listening to it last night, and I was like, "This is like the best album I've ever heard." Just like Whitney Houston going off on the Bodyguard soundtrack.
Yeah, a hugely talented person. It's like a heavy weight to bear that kind of talent that she had. I'm not surprised that it was like difficult for her, and God rest and God bless her. And I can't imagine what it would be like to have that kind of talent. It's a really probably a very difficult cross to bear. You know what I mean?
Did you ever see the like Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown?
Yeah, I did. That was really sad.
What was it?
That was the reality show. That was really sad. But it was like very much like a reminder of like this person is imperfect. They are a vessel for something really beautiful. They are very troubled and like they need help. And like honestly, like it's really like you hear someone sound so beautiful and you forget that they're not like an angel, that they need help too. It's very sad story with Whitney Houston. And that person needed help. And it's very sad that she's gone and we've really lost somebody very special, and that's sad.
There's a part in the show where I think their whole family is like out somewhere in public, and Bobby Brown is like loving the attention, like giving autographs, taking pictures. And Whitney Houston is just like, I can't deal with this shit. And then like it like cuts to Bobby Brown like talking to the camera, and he's just like, Whitney is like a like true artist. Like she could like take or leave all the like fame bullshit. Like she just wants to like record music and stuff.
Yeah.
Just wants to make music.
Yeah, I just always love that about
That's
Whitney.
really fascinating. I wonder if that's why she was so drawn to Bobby Brown. It's because he is such a showman, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why he was drawn to her, because she's such an artist. But anyway, thanks for joining us on Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston talk. This is the podcast now.
Actually, let's change the name.
No, if I had to pick my artist, that I got to do mine now. I had to pick the one that because Keith was asking, like, what do we pick? So I remember, like, I was very much into music you know, I saw this when I started listening to music. Like, I wasn't somebody who was particularly charming or good at sports, but I did really connect with music, and I'm like, well, this is my thing. And I remember I would go on the radio, I would listen to all the bands, I would keep track of like I can tell you like every single that like Stone Temple Pilots released and when they released it and like which was the first one. I was like, oh yeah, you know, that was Plush, then it was Sex Type Thing, then it was Wicked Garden. I'm like, I can tell you like because like that was, to me, it was like it gave me a sense of being a valuable person because I was archiving this art for, you know, people weren't paying attention to. But I do remember it moving from you know, something that was a social crutch to me to like something that really like hit my soul hard was 9 Inch Nails when I started listening to them. And
very cool.
Which album was it?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted the downwards. Didn't get that one right away, so I had to get Pretty Hate Machine because it didn't have the explicit warning label on it. I eventually got Downward Star. Like, you know, went to the wall and snuck it home. But you know, that album, what really hit me about it was it said, you know, all music by Trent Reznor. Like, he made everything. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And also, I'm like, well, not only did he make all the sounds, but these are so different than everything else that's deemed alternative music. And I was like, wow. And then I started watching the music videos by him too. And I'm like, not only can music inspire, you know, internally, but it can inspire externally as well. A whole world can be created around the visuals that would associate itself with this music. You know, like the Mark Romanek video for what's it called, for Closer is fucking brilliant, right? You know, like that's insane, and it's like high art. You know what I mean? Like, oh wow, this can be really high. This can be not just for fun and not just for coolness, but this can be really high art. You know what I mean? And the Trent Reznor kind of introduced that concept to me. And
yeah,
it's very cool.
Pretty high.
I would definitely throw Bjork in as like.
Oh, she's so skilled. I love Bjork.
Yeah, for sure.
Great.
First time I watched a Bjork music video, right?
Yeah.
That was the first, like, I think that was the first electronic music that was like my gateway into electronic.
Great gateway.
Did you watch the music videos?
Oh man, they're so good, especially the Michelle Gondry ones.
Yeah, I loved the music videos, but the first exposure was like an anime music video that someone did with like something from, I can't remember, I think it was like Bachelorette, her song.
Yeah.
And that was like the springboard. Yeah.
Oh, Bachelorette is amazing. It's probably maybe my favorite Bjork music video as well, actually.
Man, is that the one where she like dives off the cliff or whatever?
No, this is the one where she finds a book in the forest. She writes the book. They make a play, and then it ends up being a play within a play within a play within a play.
I do remember that one.
The relationship breaks apart, and then the play breaks apart too, and she ends up back in the forest. It's a Michelle Gondry video. That's true.
Oh man!
If you haven't watched the music video for Bachelorette, everybody in the chat, do yourself a favor, go watch it. I think it's one of the greatest music videos ever made.
So can I do? Yeah, Tech Honors is in chat. What's up, bro?
Hey,
I didn't know we were talking about our first exposure to music that made us passionate.
Do you want to do that one?
Yeah. So I grew up in a super restrictive, religious, evangelical household. So I could only listen to Christian music. But of course, I found the weirdest Christian music possible as fast as possible. And there was a record label called Tooth and Nail Records, and they had this synth pop artist.
MXPX was on Tooth and Nail Records.
MXPX and Norma Jean and the Chariot. Well, they had this artist called Joy Electric that was making super weird synth pop music. And I'm
familiar with them.
I love talking to Angel Fire Tools about Joy Electric because she is I wouldn't say a fan, but she's familiar. And they're weird as fuck. So, like, of course, I gravitated to the electronic music that was super strange, like synth palettes and stuff. And honestly, there's this one particular song. It's called Shepherds of the Northern Pasture, and I still love it. It's pretty phenomenal. It's like, you ever sit back and just visualize your music? That did that for me.
Was Tooth and Nail was that band Cursive on Tooth and Nail?
No, Cursive is on Saddle Creek, man.
Yeah.
Cursive was part of the Bright Eyes
and all those
family, right? They were on Saddle Creek Records and such with Mike Mogus and like the Faints early stuff, right?
Alex saw Joy Electric at Chain Reaction. That's unbelievable.
Oh, no way.
That guy's a pastor in Orange County now, actually.
What?
And
Amazing.
Chris, he has a giant collection of analog synths with all the fucking patch wires and stuff. He's a really skilled individual, man.
God
Like,
bless him.
a lot of Christian music, as corny as it is, that stuff was good.
I'll still sometimes scour like Christian music radio for samples.
Oh,
honestly.
for sure.
Good.
For
There's
sure.
always like, some isolated lines that are just like, if you just take this line by itself, it takes on a very new meaning, I would say.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
In
When you
5X's
take something out of
sample-
context.
In5X's sampled a Christian group called Bob and Pauline Wilson for the first track on whatever Synthetic Corp. It's called "Cause I Know They Want to Catch Me," and it's like vibey as fuck. But it's I looked up the sample and it's like a super 70s Jesus freak praisey song. But he makes it work somehow.
Wow.
Isaac, when did you get out of like the religious lifestyle?
I actually would I would actually still consider myself religious. I just don't really like. I'm not preachy about it. I don't do anything about it. You know.
Did you used to be like hardcore?
I wouldn't say hardcore. I would say in high school I was like very interested in like living my faith and like studying the Bible and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, I mean, I'm kind of curious where you are on that spectrum. But you know, I guess like the disconnection between Christianity and capitalism. A lot of these churches don't really care about Christ. They just care about capitalism. You know.
Yeah.
That's a long conversation for another day. I know.
I didn't grow up. I'm just always curious about that because I didn't grow up with any religion, but like
Interesting.
I have I have friends who did like, and it seems like it's either like a traumatizing like early experience.
There were some
Or
things
just-
about it that weren't great.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you took the things that were good about it with you, and you left behind the things that were bad about it, and that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and you grew up Catholic, I want to say?
I grew up Catholic, but like I grew up like New Jersey Catholic, and it's
Okay.
like my parents were like, "Come on, we haven't gone in 3 months. We gotta go," and then we get there, and my parents would be like,
This sucks. Let's get out of here.
"Let's get out of here."
That's hilarious.
Like, oh, I love Catholicism, not because of the evil shit that goes on with it, but because it is kind of strange and bizarre and cryptic and weird, and like it has beautiful art associated with it and insane sort of relics and this bizarre medieval sort of history behind it, full of like, deceit.
It's very
and, like,
old.
challenging. It's like an empire. It's very cool, man. When you go to I mean, let me say, it's not that cool because of the evil shit that happens, and we're not even gonna. I don't want to get into that, but I want to just remove. I just want to talk about the superficial, creepy art that is associated with it. Like whenever there'd be no Gothic imagery without the Catholic imagery first, right?
True, absolutely.
The Catholic imagery basically is creepy Gothic imagery. You know what I mean? I don't see any other religion with all this creepy Gothic imagery in it. Although I will say there's some really fucking cool mosques out there that are like fucking outstanding, like in Syria, that we really deserve as much love as like the Sistine Chapel and the Catholic churches get. Like some of these mosques are also really cool and creepy and weird and have amazing weird relics in them too. So like I do like any religion that has like weird relics and bizarre gods and angels and like strange imagery that could be subverted, and like Catholicism is like the Western version of that. Like there are really cool imagery and bizarre angels and gods and demons in a lot of the other the other religions that are out there, but I don't know, I don't like that a lot of the other Christian religions like stripped away all the weird shit. Like I like the weird shit. The weird shit is inspiring to look at. If you go to like the Sistine Chapel, right before you actually enter the Sistine Chapel, there's like the modern art section, and everybody like fucking breezes right past that. But in there, you'll find like Dali, Chagall, Manet, Monet, like every kind of artist, Matisse, any kind of artist that you have like a basic kind of like superficial knowledge of. Klimt is in there too. That you have like a superficial knowledge of. They've done some weird Catholic painting, and it's in there. And like people like walk right by this to go to the Sistine Chapel. But I've never seen that many famous artists next to each other. And like I don't know.
Have you been to the Sistine Chapel?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, I have.
What was it like? How was it enormous or?
is fucking huge. It's insane. It's insane. It's like, and like this is like, the evil empire of Catholicism like basically commissioned this thing, and it's interesting. You know what I mean? What was really interesting is like, and then you go into like all the different like all the different like old popes like rooms and shit. And it's all like full of regalia and like opulence and like you like it's really funny to like walk into like the Borgias like rooms and be like, oh man, these fucking evil motherfuckers and their strange weird shit. Like that's cool. I don't know, man.
Man, what's really cool is
weird
fake
shit associated
religions.
with it.
Like Star Wars, right? The Jedi, or like the religions in Final
Seven
Fantasy
Sorrows
and shit.
of Mary. Like, where else do you get this? You don't get that in a lot of other the Christian
Yeah,
religions.
but the fake ones are
sticking
cooler.
Into Mary's heart, like
Like
it's
when
fucking
people have
creepy
to
as
make
shit.
up
Love
a
it.
religion.
Yeah, that's like Dune, right?
Yeah, Dune is a great example.
Dune,
Muad'Dib and the witches, whatever they're called. I can't remember. Bene Gesserit.
Bene Gesserit.
My memory
I
sucks.
always thought Dune was kind of. It was like, that's like a science fiction novel that focuses on like technology and religion. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
I love
like, it's
fake
not
religions.
focused on like most like futuristic things are basically built on like the idea of like advancement in technology, and every fucking goddamn science fiction movie has like someone like whoosh, like bringing up a screen like whoosh, 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 like moving their hands across some invisible screen, and there's like cricket noises. I never heard a fucking computer in my life make a cricket noise. Yet for some reason in every futuristic movie they're all making like cricket noises constantly.
I know exactly the sound you're talking
But like
about.
Dune doesn't really focus on that. It's like it's more about they're like technology, we're done with that now. We've actually been developing like the spiritual and the interesting things inside the human body through like techniques.
The cat behind you.
Process. Oh yeah.
Did you see the new Dune movie?
I did see the new Dune movie. What did you guys think of that?
I haven't seen it yet. Let me know what you
What
guys
did you think, Keith?
I thought it was really good. I liked it.
I liked it. I actually prefer the imagery in the David Lynch one better. Like I thought the imagery is more interesting. I thought the imagery in the new Dune movie. I thought this was a very good movie, but I don't really remember what much it looks like from it. I remember it being very brown. But like in the David Lynch film, I'm never gonna forget like the little sister, right, or the Baron Harkonnen, or like what people wore in that movie and the way things looked. But the new one is probably a better film. You know what I mean? It's definitely a better film. Too bad we didn't get Jodorowsky's though, right?
They didn't use the weirding way or anything in the new movie yet, correct?
No.
Because I remember asking, I think Liam about that. Because remember in the Lynch one, they just kind of shout, but that's not how it's done in the book at all. I thought
the weirding way was just what the Fremen called the like Bene Gesserit speak or whatever.
Or did they have a gun? I don't remember. All I remember is they changed it, and I thought it was
I don't know.
I'm gonna get it wrong inevitably.
So Keith, what got you into making music?
Well,
what made you decide to start making it?
Because it's like you get so into it that you're like, I need to manifest this myself. Do you know what I mean?
I could do this
It's
better.
Yeah, it's just it's like an extension of being an intense listener, I would say.
That's too cool.
It's like, and having a lot of curiosity. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like I can still remember getting my first. I got this like digital recorder thing, and like being able to record your own sounds for the first time was like, yeah, it was like just like an orgasm, like unreal. Just like, but I was also into visual art really early too. Like I was really into Lord of the Rings when I was a little kid.
Wow.
And I still have this folder. I tried to draw like every single Lord of the Rings character when I was like, under 10 years old.
You should mint those as NFTs.
I think I've posted some online, but I have hundreds of them. Like every Lord of the Rings character, I have like a little childhood drawing of.
Wow. Did you see the first animated Lord of the Rings film?
Yeah, I was really
the rotoscoped one.
By what's his name? Who's the director, really famous animation director from the 70s.
Oh, it wasn't Don Bluth.
No,
That was
it's
the
certainly
90s.
not Don Bluth. He also did Fritz the Cat and Heavy Traffic. Ralph Bakshi.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
How do you
that's
say-
definitely. Although Don Bluth, interesting character as well. But I guess we're gonna get off.
Did
topic
you
again
did you
if we-
see The Hobbit? Because I'm pretty sure that's a
Of course, I saw
Rankin
the
Bass
Hobbit,
one.
and I saw the Hobbit, and I also saw Return of the King, which was the sequel to the Hobbit,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
No, that's the third Lord of the Rings.
No,
book.
but they couldn't do. They had to do. Was it Return of the King? Right? That
Wait
was
a
the
minute.
sequel
Was
to
it by the
Hobbit
same
version.
people that made that?
It was
60s?
by the same person. Yes,
I
it
haven't
was by the
seen
same
that.
person.
Is it as good?
It's not as
No.
not as
Oh.
good.
Musicals in it too. There's music in that one as well.
Oh
There's a
man,
song
those
the
songs
orcs
in The
sing.
Hobbit are so singable. Down,
The
down, to Goblin
greatest
Town.
adventure
Yes,
is,
well-
is that?
Oh, that movie's so good, dude. I love that, and
Yeah.
I love The Wind in the Willows. I think it's by the
Yeah.
same animators. That's also, ironically, a Rankin Bass film.
Yeah, Rankin Bass
Rankin
was
Bass. Yeah.
That's where
definitely
it's at.
shed tears to the Hobbit music.
Yes, 110%.
So
It's a forlorn
Lord of the
film.
Rings, I could totally see that. Like that's like a Lord of the Rings is a well. Like, when you get exposed to Lord of the Rings at a young age, you're like, man, I can't believe someone imagined and created all of this. How cool!
Yeah. Did you read the books, Keith?
Yeah, well, yeah. When I was like, super young, my dad read them to me.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah. So it was like, and then so I like went on to read them myself later. But yeah, I don't know if I would. If I read them now, it's like I don't know what I would think. I don't know if I would have. I mean, I obviously wouldn't have the same reaction, but I don't even know if I would necessarily like them that much. But when you're young, it's like anything that you get hit with is like mind expanding.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
same
That
with
was very
music.
seminal for me in high school.
Yeah. Same with music. Like when I was young, literally anything I heard was like mind blowing. Like it didn't matter what it was. It was just like hearing stuff for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
It was before you like develop an idea of like a personal idea of like good or bad or taste or whatever. It's just like it's all stimulus. It's all just like
Maybe what we're doing is we're literally like drugs. We're chasing that high that we experienced when we first found music that was mind-blowing to us when we were younger.
yeah. I mean, I
No.
think that's true to an extent for sure.
Sort of. Barring,
So
of
then
course,
how-
the technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
Of course. So then how did you move from, being inspired by everything to, I don't know, starting to make experimental music? How did your music start moving? Because, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I said at the top of the podcast, that I always considered you to be at the forefront of interesting sound design and music writing. I still think you are. I think you were way ahead of the game even like 8 or 9 years ago when we first met and I first started listening to you. I thought you were ahead of the game then. You continue to be now. Your last album, fucking amazing, by the way. I'm not even talking about the Death Dynamic Shroud album, which is great as well, a deconstructed pop album. But your actual album that came out recently, that is phenomenal. And if you guys haven't listened to this, please, as soon as you're done with the podcast, go listen to this album and be inspired. And it's because it's phenomenal. So, like, how did you start? When did you start this? Like, when did you find your voice, basically? Like, because it's one thing to be inspired by everything. It's one thing to start making music. But at one point where you're like, I think I'm discovering kind of my voice here, and it's very different than what I was listening to previously.
Yeah. I mean, when I first started making music, it was all about like harmony and like composition, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, like a lot of my earlier music was more. I mean, some of it sounded like video game music, like that kind of composition, just like big on melody and like writing things on the piano. And I was in like a kind of like a synth band.
A synth
Like,
band.
Yeah, like a synth progressive rock band almost.
What? How old were you then?
Like by this point I was a teenager. I can't remember. It's
Yeah.
like
Were you friends with Tech and James back then too?
yes, yeah.
Too cool.
I hear that they thought you were like the cool guy who like was always doing stuff and always making interesting music.
I mean, you'd have to ask them.
Right.
That's what I hear. Yeah, I hear. Yeah, but anyway, so you were doing the synth band, okay?
Well, I mean, basically, I was just really into composition and
Yeah.
harmony and melody and, doing that kind of thing. And so it's like I spent so long on that, like, in playing the piano. But yeah, my mom had like a piano in her basement that I would just play all the time. That's how I learned
That's cool.
music.
Yeah.
And eventually it was like, if I don't kind of like get rid of this or like try something else, I'm just gonna get stuck kind of in a box like for the rest of my life. And so that's when I started Giant Claw, was like just like a project to improvise essentially and like learn how to just make more spontaneous music, improvise, just like experimenting.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that was like my shunning of composition basically. But ironically it's like kind of come back around, and now I like do a lot of really detailed arranging and composition still, but yeah, so it's like I feel like musically I've always kind of like spun back and forth between that like intense composition and improvisation.
That's kind of the funny, interesting thing is like improvisation almost leads to composition, because when you're improvising, you're trying to find your voice. And then like that's through the improvisation, you find something that feels like you, and you're like, oh, I liked that. I liked the way I did that. You lock that away, and then you kind of start composing based on the things that you improvised that you really liked. Like that becomes part of your toolkit, right? I mean, I find that as well, that like, I start by just like fucking around, and once I fuck around, I'm like, well, I don't, this part of the fucking around, I think is me. You know what I mean? I think this is me. In the same way that like throughout like our life, we try different things or meet different people. We connect with certain people, don't connect with others, right? Or like some foods, don't like other foods. It's like the same thing with like the art that we make, right? Like you just fuck around and you're like, this is me. Okay, remember that. And then like you start, when you start, just what starts as composition, improvisation becomes part of composition. I don't know. So
yeah,
we've got a backlog of questions in the chat. I don't mean to interrupt, but Pacific Plaza asked a little ways back. Pacific Plaza mentioned that you started a TikTok and wanted to know why, I believe. Ask Keith why he started a TikTok. And then Lux wants to know about the origins of orange milk.
Yes, we are going to get to that for sure. But
so
before we do that, why'd you start a TikTok, Keith?
Yeah.
Well, because I was seeing, I don't know if you've probably noticed that like half of Twitter is just people reposting TikToks.
Yeah. Instagram too.
True.
Now.
Yeah.
Like,
it's kind of the wave right now. Christ is really good at, and I think the Wiz is on TikTok too.
Yeah, and I mean the TikTok algorithm is really intense. Like it.
Oh, really?
Really hones in on like, kind of almost like hidden interests, I would say.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Just based on what you're liking and like what if you watch a video all the way through, I'm pretty sure they like take that into account. But yeah, so it's like I got on TikTok and instantly I was just getting like UFO videos. Like,
I love that.
I don't talk about it a lot, but it's like I think there's like a deep part of me that is really like in the UFO conspiracy stuff.
You didn't even know it.
That's
yeah. That was
TikTok read you.
It played me, yeah.
Scanned your soul, man.
And so yeah,
creepy.
You want to tell us a little bit about the origins of orange milk and why it's called orange milk? Shiny Crystal Pistol wants to know.
Yeah, it was orange milk. So we started in like 2010, and there was like a lot of it was the time when like there was a lot of underground electronics was like the tape like DIY tape scene stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember thinking like once I saw like Washed Out was releasing, that High Times thing only on tape, I remember being like, gotta pay attention to tapes. Gotta see what's going on here because I want to start making music too. And that
Yeah.
tape things exploded around 2009, 2010. That's like when really like the big move towards cassettes, I'd say, was then.
Right. And yeah, there's a lot of like synth revival and kind of like this 70s avant-garde revival, I would say, or I don't know if that went away, but kind of my first exposure to it, like kind of like abstract avant-garde electronic music. A lot of it was on tape, like maybe you might know. Do you remember Kabbalati's, that band? I know Robert Beatty was friends with them. But basically, I just wanted to be like, I was totally outside. Like I didn't know any musicians really, and I just wanted to be a part of that scene because I liked the music so much.
Very
And
cool. So you started releasing it.
yeah, so me and my friend Seth from Dayton, Ohio, we were kind of like the only two people that we knew that was into the same music and kind of on the same wavelength. So it was like, how can we interject ourselves into this music scene?
Yeah.
And so yeah, we started the label for that basically.
So
Is Chris frozen?
Yeah, he is. Haha.
oh, do we lose?
It's okay. You can talk over him.
Okay.
So we've got lots of. No, I think he's back. Chris, you're with us, right?
I'm here.
That was a joke, by
Oh,
the way.
sorry. I missed your question. It was
Oh, my
freezing.
question was, when did you immediately start expanding it to bands across the country, or was it originally just Ohio bands? Like, you know what I mean? Or was it really
No,
just
it's-
giant?
It was internet stuff pretty much from the jump.
Yeah, that's how it went back then.
Yeah.
That's
mean,
like
a lot-
literally, like, I remember being like, wow, like, I guess I would, I guess this is how we do this now. And then getting all the Facebook requests from people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we were in Dayton, Ohio, and it's like I said, there was no, it's like, if we would have wanted to do Dayton artists, it would have been all like Black Sabbath cover bands and like Harsh Noise. And, yeah. So there was a lot of like synth artists who just were putting out like 10 releases a year, and we're just like, yeah, we'll put out a tape with you. So there's
Pulling a
tons
James
of
Ferraro.
yeah.
Super cool. Pacific Plaza has a good question. Wants to know if you have any musical projects that you were in high school. Did you play any shows in high school?
Yeah, so I had like the synth progressive rock kind of video game sounding band I was in was called Yakuza Heart Attack.
Perfect.
Nice. I feel like I've heard James mention this band name before in interviews as well.
Yeah, that was like my teenage band. And actually our second album just got reissued on this label Ship to Shore.
No
who
way.
does a lot. Yeah.
Wow. How
Who
fun.
does a lot,
How fun.
who does a lot of like video game soundtracks and
So is it
stuff.
like chiptune-y at all, or?
Well, it's just, I mean, I guess you could say that, but it's just using synthesizers.
Okay,
It's-
very cool. Not
it's-
Game Boys.
Yeah. But like, yeah, we played like shows with Anamanaguchi and stuff. So it was
What?
kind of,
Oh, wild.
yeah, it was kind of in that scene, I guess you would say.
Lux
I don't know,
found the
Gucci was
reissue
like
and posted the
heroes
link in the
to
chat.
everybody back then because they acknowledged the vaporwave world, but were extremely popular.
Oh yeah, they were on
It was always-
SPF 420.
They were heroes to all of us back then.
I guess I didn't really
I
realize
didn't really
that.
listen.
How did
Yeah.
they acknowledge the vaporwave world? They just
They were in
shout-
SPF 420, and they were reachable. They were you played with them. You know what I mean? Like they were reachable people, and they knew some people, and they played in SPF 420. Yeah, it was just like that's all it took. And then like all of a sudden, like that's all really, it means a lot, to a scene when somebody a little bit bigger than you reaches out to it. And I remember it meant a lot to everybody in the scene back then, so everyone supported them.
Yeah.
Right.
Smart move on their part.
Yeah, they're
they
still
got a pretty
going.
ardent following.
Yeah, smart. Like, so many people ignored us. You know what I mean? So many artists did not acknowledge one bit. I mean, I'm pretty sure every single one of us at some point in the early 2010s, like, sent some kind of demo to some record label that had a chillwave artist on it, possibly. You know what I mean? And was like roundly either rejected or ignored.
Well, I feel like there's still kind of a vaporwave block in a lot of areas, like music journalism and stuff like that.
Oh God, yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, they'll never write about me in the Philadelphia press.
Oh man.
They'll never. I mean, I remember even in the most recent review of the Doom Trip Records compilation, which got reviewed on Pitchfork, they're like, a scene often overlooked. You know, like, yeah, exactly,
right.
Assholes. It's your fault. Go fuck yourself, man. Like,
Go
care at all.
yourself.
Which is why we had to make our own media. But I'm sure punk rock had to do the same thing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, yeah, I always feel pulled between kind of a few different music scenes, I would say, because like,
I imagine you do.
Because I feel like the vaporwave scene is, in its way, like kind of isolated. Maybe not by choice, but like just because, for whatever reason, there's been a kind of, I don't know, like a taboo, or just like maybe certain places still view it as like low culture or something like that. I'm not really sure what it is. But yeah, there's definitely like a divide there that I feel.
So what do you think about Deconstructed Club? What do you think about genres in general? Don't answer that question. What do you think about genres?
I mean, genres are a helpful, like, shorthand to talk about stuff, basically. But yeah, beyond that, it's like, sometimes it's more, I mean, you're basically trying to describe a music scene or like a music culture when you're talking about genres. And it's like, sometimes the bond or the connection between these artists is like really strong and makes sense. And sometimes it's just like very flimsy and just like a, like a journalist, like invention, just to
Like some of these Spotify tags on people's Wrapped.
Yeah, that's like, have you seen, from a few years ago, it was like Escape Room? Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
I know what
it's like
an escape room is.
Made up genre names.
It was a Spotify
Hyper grunge.
genre. It was about, it was just extremely irritating that like a Spotify intern made up this like genre and then like applied it to, I don't know, millions of artists or whatever.
Man, I don't know. See, I do always prefer it when the tag or the genre refers to more of a movement or scene or like-minded artists rather than an actual sound.
Sure.
I understand
Really?
it's necessary. I much prefer that.
That's
I
so
really
interesting to me.
I really hate when things are grouped by sounds. I know they have to be. Like, I understand that is
I
necessary.
guess I just feel like it makes more sense.
Things have to be grouped by sounds. I get it. But I would shoot myself in the face if like my sound was ever to be defined by one thing. I would not even bother to make music.
You're a genre
but some
bender.
people, that's what they do. That's all they want to do. And like, I can't even imagine that. Like, I can't even imagine being like, I am a deep house tech artist and this is all I'll ever make, and every album you hear from me will be this, and every song you hear from me will be like this. And I guess that's like, I understand it. People want consistency in their music. Like, I don't always like it when I put on an artist's playlist and like it's all over the place. Like, sometimes I'll put on Sufjan Stevens and like, well, I didn't want to hear like all this orchestrations. I wanted to hear the twee indie rock, or I didn't want to hear like, but at the same time, like, I couldn't do that myself. Like, I couldn't do that. Like, but other artists, that's all they do, and every song is going to be like that. And I'm like, wow, what happens when that isn't cool anymore? Or when you're tired of doing that, or like when you don't want to learn anything new, you don't want to develop your technique any further, you don't want to learn new tricks or learn from old tricks. Like, I don't know, man. I really hate.
You don't want to pigeonhole yourself.
I hate that stuff. Like, I engage with it as well because you have to, because the world requires order, and you know what I mean. Like, and some people love that, and they hate when people talk about music in regards to like connections and ideas and and feelings, you know what I mean? And like, you know, being like in a scene as a paradigm rather than a sound. People like sometimes they hate that. They think you're being pretentious when you talk about music like that. But you know what? Go fuck yourself. That's how I think about it. And go fuck yourself. You could like it the way you want to. I can like it the way I want to. And sorry if that got aggressive. but I know I'm in the minority with how I think of music.
Chris, you seem like, I feel like you're a really good kind of ambassador for like the early vaporwave scene, or just like
Thank you.
It seems like you talk about it very like lovingly, and like you want to like protect it or something like that.
Yeah, a little bit, man. The
Preserve
ideals
it.
of it, because it actually was very varied back then.
It was,
It still
man.
is, and it's still very varied now. It's still extremely varied now, and I'd like to keep it that way. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
I don't really know what to call my music, so it's vaporwave.
What would
Right,
you
I mean,
call
I feel
your
like-
music, Keith?
Yeah, we can't call Keith's music anything
Yeah, what
either.
would you
Like,
call
would
your
your music? What the heck? It doesn't have a name either.
I went to a dentist like a few months ago for the first time in like 10 years or something.
Hey.
And they were like, what? They were just like, you know, shooting the shit, asking me questions. And it eventually came to like, oh, you're like a musician. Like, what kind of music do you play? And I always just say like electronic music.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, right?
Escape
It's
room.
like, yeah,
Escape
um, just blowing a dentist's mind with an escape room drop. Yeah, so I mean, it's up to other people to define. You know what I mean?
True.
It's like when you're making music, are you ever thinking like how do you approach it? Like, do you think like I'm gonna make a techno song, or like do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And sometimes, yes, honestly, it does come out like, I'm going to make a new wave song. I'm going to make a future-based song. But
Right.
I also know that me intending to do that, it's going to filter through my sensibilities and my knowledge and my skill set, and it's going to be something totally different. You know?
Yeah.
Like, I could even copy something if I wanted to. I wouldn't know how to do it. It would be,
Yeah.
and also if I did copy something perfectly, I just fucking shoot myself in the fucking face because I did something derivative and unoriginal. Like, why do I want to try and do what I've already heard? Like, I want to learn from it, and I want to think about the techniques and the production techniques behind it and how they did it, but I don't want to learn it perfectly, because if I learn it perfectly, I'm just going to do what they did, and who fucking cares? They already did it, and they probably do it better than me. So why should I bother to do the same thing?
yeah, I feel like
Spending the effort to copy something. Ugh. Just put this fucking mic through my eye right now.
I feel like for the Death Dynamic Shroud album I just made was kind of maybe the closest in a while I've come to just like, I'm gonna make like within a genre or something, or like,
Yeah, and it totally came out just like in your voice.
It was
completely.
solid.
It's a beautiful, beautiful work, man.
yeah, you can't, like, what you were saying is true. Like, you can't really get away from yourself in a way. It's like, it's gonna come out no, like, even if you don't want it to, like, it's still gonna have your imprint on it, basically.
Correct. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a cipher, then I guess it'll just be what you were copying.
Keith, what would you say is your least favorite
And there's
trend
just
in
a lot of
music?
ciphers, you know, out there.
If you had to pick
Yeah.
one thing that gets under your skin in music, what's your least favorite trend?
That's such a hard question. What do you got?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, man. What's your hot take? What's something you don't like?
Like, for current stuff, maybe, damn, that's really tough. I guess, like, I feel like a lot of radio stuff is reaching the point where, like, the whole, like, trap sound is, like, I feel like reaching the end of a cycle. So it's like, the early stuff in that sound, like, I was really into, but like, some of the new stuff just feels a little bit like stale, like just kind of imitating that sound endlessly, or like kind of people from outside of the scene just kind of
I got
making
you.
the sound and like, I don't know.
You start
guess
hearing it on Target
Enough of the
commercials.
hi-hat rolls.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I've kind of done, it's like, I'm not in the trap scene and I've used some of those sounds too, but
I got, yeah.
but yeah,
I feel that.
like, certain pop artists that are like kind of using that sound, I feel like sounds a little bit stale in 2021 a
I
little
can't
bit.
stand the song where like there's a dubstep section, there's a folk rock singer, and it's like, but it's a pop song with like an R&B singer, and it's like it doesn't know what it wants to be, but it's like just trying to hit every single trend that's going on. You know what I mean? Like the clap stomp, but there's a dubstep section. Like,
Yeah.
I know
It's
you
like
know what
when
I'm
you-
talking about.
Like when Korn made a dubstep album.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on Catatonic Youths. That's how I like saw the footage of like Jonathan Davis playing, Catatonic Youths, which plays like the cringy music videos. They had
No.
oh,
What
you
is-
never. Oh, do yourself a favor. I'll just send you a link for it later. You gotta go like look at the stuff on Cat. You'll love it, man. You actually might find some really fun stuff to sample there. Actually, they post like the YouTube videos of all these different. Sort of forgotten, cringy garage acts. Like it's really, they're very interesting because they're like a combination of like we're trying our very best here, but they also are not typically very aware of how bad they're doing at it. And sometimes they'll throw in like a clip of like they'll have like footage of Jonathan Davis doing his dubstep act at a live like festival, and he's really trying his best, but this is bad. Like he's jumping around trying to get people hyped, and it's like, oh boy. Oh
People
boy.
that-
He
people
didn't
that
stay
tap
stale.
that The reggaeton beat is played out. And Rayleigh's.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
I mean,
the things like the
it's pretty simple.
reggaeton stuff. I also saw the comment. Who is saying it in here? Fader was talking about how like you have to dig for the good stuff. Everything has its lowest common denominator, and that's 100% true. I had the little tattoo of Patti Smith on my arm, and I'm like, every genre has its Patti Smiths. Every sound design whatever enclave has its Patti Smiths. You have to look for them. And I think that the challenge becomes with the reggaeton or maybe a typical trap beat is now to how are you going to sound design that to be different, right? Like how are you going to make it different? I'm a really big fan of a lot of the ambient trap music because I really like how they are looking for alternatives to like a typical snare roll or a typical hi-hat. That's like, for example, like I've been working on a couple of different albums right now. One of them has a lot of trappier elements on it, but for
Hell
instance,
yeah.
instead of using 808 like cymbals, I'm using like insect wings flapping as like the sound effect that sounds close to that, or rattlesnakes. You know what I mean? To give that same feel, but not use the same instrumentation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and then to warp it a little bit, so you just have the unconscious idea of like a threatening animal, but you can't exactly
Oh,
tell that that's a
man, that's
rattlesnake
ingenious.
shaking to create the little hi-hat rolls.
As
Yeah.
much as I
Anyway,
don't
you
care
gotta do
for like
stuff like that,
hardcore
right?
or
That's what you
gabber
do.
music, that is one thing I respect about their kicks. They're always experimenting with the craziest source that they could use to make a kick for their fucking 200 beat per minute song.
I think my hot take is that I still like the reggaeton beat.
I mean, it's pretty
Yeah,
infectious. I mean,
I like it too. I like
it does its job. I like trap too. God damn it! It's not old to me. Like that's like
I
some
think we're
turn up
talking about
shit.
lowest common denominator trap and lowest common denominator reggaeton. That's like what we're tired of,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would,
That's what
I would
everyone- yeah.
certainly agree. Keith, is there any particular artist within your scene that you would consider an idol or mentor? Whether it be Vaporwave or an adjacent scene?
I think like mentor this. I would definitely consider this artist Noah Krashevsky kind of like a mentor figure.
Noah
He was-
Krashevsky?
Noah Krashevsky, yeah, he was like
Okay.
Orange Milk did a compilation of his in 2017 or 2018.
Okay.
And like I had never heard about him, but basically he was like an early experimenter with like tape splicing and computer splicing and like kind of like sound collage sampling stuff. Like he was doing that stuff in like the 70s.
Wait, what's his name again?
Noah Krzyzewski.
I think Lux might have linked it. Did you release an album on Orange Milk?
Yeah.
Lux, you're the shit.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he actually died last year. But like
that's rough.
He had I mean he was like older. Like he worked with John Cage and stuff, but
wow.
Yeah. He was basically I realized that his stuff was kind of like a early version of a lot of the things that Orange Milk is into now.
How do you spell his last name?
C-R-E, or I'll just type it in the chat.
Yeah.
You type that in the chat.
That sounds like a long as fuck name.
Yeah, sorry.
Krzyzewski. Perfect.
But basically he was really much part of the like academic, like modern classical world, I would say.
Very cool.
Like he put out stuff on like John Zorn's label. But
very experimental.
So he got in he hooked up with Orange Milk and was just like,
wow,
extremely kind and open, basically. And not like a lot of those people from that kind of academic school are like, you know, they don't want to be talking with like, they're like too closed off and just like kind of above it when it comes to younger music scenes. But
yeah,
Noah was like, he talked to tons of Orange Milk artists and like
so
just
cool.
Like, kind of like became friends with people. And it's like, he's like this in his 70s, like this 70-year-old like teacher from like he taught at like Princeton and like worked with John Cage and like is just like chatting with these like, you know, 21-year-old like electronic artists from like the Midwest and stuff. So
that's
very special.
Cool.
I love that.
You know, the academic world, it's just like it's a shame because there's so many ideas there, and it does feel like they close themselves off to like away from, you know, they think they're above whatever else is going on around, in the small pockets of experimental music around that's not in academia. You know what I mean? And that sucks. You know, I imagine it's the same way with the video artists too. You know what I mean? And it's really cool that he reached out to you because most academics in music, right?
Very stuffy.
Go fuck themselves, yeah. You know what I mean? Like they don't have anything to do with like they're just so stuck in their own head about what they're doing. It means nothing at the end of the day. I can't stand those people usually. I can't stand those artists usually. And that's fucking amazing that this guy did that.
I love
most
that
of the time
too.
They go like they can go fuck themselves. Like who like people like most of the time the people who get involved in academics like failed experimental music people like Daedelus and shit like that. Like go fuck yourself, Daedelus.
They wouldn't just
anyway, like that's like the one time that like David HKE ever trolled somebody and I agreed with it was trolling Daedalus. Go fuck that guy. I gotta go fuck
wait, who's Daedalus?
Exactly.
The guy. His name is Alfred, right? And he like dresses like a foppish guy.
Old and washed up, and now he's in academia.
You don't fuck with Daedalus?
He can go fuck himself. Yeah, he's an asshole.
Oh man, I didn't know he was an asshole. That's funny.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Oh
and
man,
yeah,
I mean, he kind of looks like he's pretentious.
And like, yeah, he is, and he just stuck up his own ass, and he means nothing to experimental
I mean, who
music
makes electronic music and dresses like an 1800s dandy? Like, all
he's
right.
someone who can't fucking hack it, and it did not become as popular as his peers, and is now in academia. Go fuck yourself.
Oh man, Lux says Mux Mool is a dick too.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Could totally see that. Yeah, one time that that's definitely a time that like Dave trolled somebody and I fucking agreed with it.
No way! I did not know he was an asshole. That's funny.
Like, what did he do?
It's just not very interesting. It's like
really
Bibio, but boring.
And like he's also like he's even like commented on my stuff before too.
No way.
Yeah, he go fuck himself. I hate that guy, and I hate his music, and I hate what he stands for, and fuck academics and music in general. Now it's on record.
Our next guest on Hot Takes is... Just kidding.
Yeah, good. Fucking bring him on.
Oh, man. Hey, actually, I got a good question for you. Is there anything that you used to be into that you're, like, not into anymore that you once were really passionate about, and now you're just like,
Yeah, like, I went through, let's see. I've been through tons of phases like that. Like I was into like Phish for a second.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Wowie.
trying to find what your tribe was, huh?
Yeah, and it's so funny. Like, yeah, I was a young teen, you know, and like my friend, I was into Phish, like their albums, and then a friend took me to a live show, and I was like, I'm done. Like this is.
Oh,
I
that's
don't
so
think I'm into
funny.
Phish after all. Oh no, I've made.
What
a
did they just
mistake.
jam the whole time? Didn't really do anything.
Yeah, and it was like just I don't know. I just like couldn't. It just like wasn't for me, basically.
Well, that actually brings me to do you guys like it when you go see an artist and they just kind of experiment the whole time and just do something? I've heard Animal Collective does that a lot. Versus like, when you go to a show, do you want to hear the hits? Like, do you want to hear the songs that you want to hear and sing along and dance?
I mean, no, because I'm used to like seeing people in a basement with like 5 people in the audience and like
right,
like contact
mics.
Just like noise for hours.
Okay.
Like,
man, this
anytime.
Phish show must have been real bad.
We're talking about like for like a professional, like a really popular. If I'm going to see a popular act, is that what you're saying?
I saw Animal Collective live actually.
Oh, that's sick.
And they kind of did what you were explaining. I actually thought this. I think they were kind of. I didn't really like their live show, honestly, but
They're pretty divisive.
yeah, I think it maybe was just the sound. Like they just didn't. It didn't sound very like powerful or like loud or energetic.
Okay, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it was like I didn't care if they played the hits or whatever. It was just like
No, you just want something.
yeah, just
I don't know,
have the
that's being a little hyperbolic, but you know.
Yeah.
So I just want something cohesive. You know what I mean? Like I just
Yeah.
want something cohesive. Like I don't have to know everything, but I just want to feel like I can trust the person taking me on the journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I mean,
With what Pacific Plaza just asked, what's the weirdest venue you've played, Keith?
That's a good question.
I mean, I did a tour with this artist Darren Keane, and so he had like a booking agent who booked half of the tour, and then I just kind of booked the other half, like through people I knew. But so like the booking agent's half of the tour was all these like kind of bro bars and like and just like all throughout like the Midwest and stuff. So we were like playing at these like shitty like bars in Kansas where like people are just going to like drink and like, you know, and then like I'm trying to play like Giant Claw music.
Oh man.
So it was like some of the most awkward experiences of my life. Like there's one live track I have where there's like a lot of kind of like pauses for silence in between like hits. And I would just dread that part of the show like every night because like that's the point where like people start like heckling and like and start yelling and stuff.
I remember saw.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, man. I saw a band live one time called Do Make Say Think. And one time, I guess they were playing a really quiet part of the song, and people started talking, and the guy literally was like, shh. And it worked.
He shushed them?
Yeah, he went. Wow. He smiled, but he was like, shh.
Keith played a show with me back in Philadelphia in oh god, was it 2013 or 2014, right?
I think I saw this Twitter thread.
Probably around then, yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm not gonna like. Was that like? That might have been one of the first times there were multiple people from the Vaporwave or Vaporwave adjacent scene like on a bill together.
Was it? Yeah, maybe.
2013.
The first, like, because there were people like I played shows, you played shows, other people played a few shows on their own. George played shows, obviously, but you never really played with other people from your scene because we were always too far away from each other, right? You know, from your little music enclave. And that might be the first Vaporwave show. It's possible. Like, that might be the first Vaporwave showcase. Like, I would not call anything I did a Vaporwave show prior to that because it was just me. You know what I mean? I would not call anything that George was doing a Vaporwave show. It was just him touring with, like, maybe TV Girl or somebody like that, right? But or even St. Pepsi. When he never played with anybody except for, you know, himself and somebody else on the bill. You know what I mean? Not from our scene, though, really. I would say it's possible, Keith, that was the first Vaporwave show.
So who else was there besides you guys?
Just me and Keith and my friend Matt Cannon, who had a band at the time called Time Ghost. He's the actual one who booked the show because, like, I got him in. I got him into, or maybe he got independently of me, but he'd got into a lot of the Vaporwave acts through knowing about me, I think, and then knowing about the people that I was following and interested in the internet world. And, you know, I think that, and Matt loved Giant Claw, as anyone who is into experimental music does when they first hear Giant Claw, and, like, got Keith there, and I was like, oh wow, and then asked me to do it too. And, you know, Matt, he has another band. His name is Matt Cannon. He's a very, very good old friend of mine. I've been talking to him in a while, but he scores some. He does, like, independent horror films now too, like Exercise.
Oh, that's cool.
He scores them as well. He goes under the name Lapses now, so check him out. And that was a fun time. And James came to that show as well. James was in the audience, and that's when you guys, I think, after that show, went back to his place and started working on the DDS album. Yes.
Oh my God.
Right.
Was that might have been? Yeah.
I think that was the same because you were in town, obviously, for the show. So I think you spent the weekend with James after that, and then started working on Try Living This Way. Yeah. I
can't remember if it was because I'll Try Living Like This was the second time me and him
Try Living This,
did that. But yeah, I kind of forgot.
Try Living This Way. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. I know.
Do you remember that show, though, Chris?
Oh, he's frozen.
Frozen again.
Bro.
My word salad.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
Can you make an album called I'll Try Living This Way, please? Because I just mislabeled it.
Hey, at least it's not like they misspelled it.
No, I can't.
On your album with Lux. Keith, do you have a musical guilty pleasure you want to admit to us?
Not really. I mean, I feel like most guilty pleasures people kind of like wear on their sleeves now, so it's not as like. I mean, admitting that I liked Phish maybe is like the like. Most
I don't believe in guilty pleasures personally, but
yeah,
it's fun to talk about people that are not people. It's fun to talk about the things that aren't cool to like, you know.
Yeah. I think. Well, it's like things go around, like things become cool and then not cool.
True.
At varying speeds. Like, for instance, like I've always been as a kid, I was like a pretty big anime nerd. Like, I loved anime, and for years, like I was so ashamed that I like was into anime. But then, like, in the last, like 5 to 10 years, like I feel like it's more of a it became more like cool to like anime.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Oh my God, yeah, it's like a prerequisite.
It's weird how it's
now.
like cool now.
It is, all the pretty people like anime now. They do. They all dress like it. They all go yeah, and they all like do like that. Not doing that before. So,
but I mean,
you had to run in fear, embarrassment if you liked it.
I feel like it's on the way out again, though. So
yeah, you think so? It's possible.
I mean, like
cycles.
Yeah, I said earlier, like I grew up with Lord of the Rings. Like I used to love like Marvel comics. It seems like everything that I loved as a kid has just been turned into like a mass media like empire type thing.
Yeah, everything I loved as a kid, because I grew up with comic
True.
books as well, and I would buy them from like 7-Eleven. That was back when they would sell comic books at like convenience stores too. So I have all these, like, it was never about collecting for me. It was I wanted a comic book. I liked reading comic books. Comic books were fun for me to read, and I would go buy them. So I'd buy everything from Daredevil to Thor to Spider-Man to all this stuff. I got boxes full of comic books, and I enjoyed reading them. And then one day I looked around, and there was a mass media global empire based around that.
I know,
and the
right?
cards I used. I got the comic books and cards I used to collect. And like I would go watch these movies, and I'd be like, this is stupid fucking bullshit. This is just like, I just feel like I'm watching the actor have a good time. You know what I mean? This is like a movie for these actors. This is not the characters that I remember from the comic books that I read when I had no friends. Like, this is just a bunch of fucking famous actors like winking at the camera, being like, "Look at me in my outfit. I'm pretty charming.
I'm Spider-Man."
Go fuck yourself, Chris Pratt. Go fuck yourself,
Oh,
Robert
Jesus.
Downey Jr. Go fuck yourself, whatever the fucking tall guys who are blonde that play Thor. I don't even fucking know their names. I don't even know. I don't care. I don't watch those movies. I could care less. Anyway. How are you doing?
Have you
What do
guys
think of these
seen the
things?
live action version of Cowboy Bebop, and what do you think?
No, I'm not gonna watch that. Why would I watch that? I'm not
Keith,
interested.
did you watch it?
I haven't finished it, but I watched some of it.
I don't care. I don't want to watch that. Like, I'm not interested in it. I already like my version of Cowboy Bebop. I'm not gonna watch this live. In the same way that like, they made like a Watchmen TV series on HBO.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that.
I'm not gonna watch that shit. Like, I'm upset I watched the movie. I'm definitely not gonna watch the TV show.
Yeah.
Quiz says
mean,
I'm
like,
wearing my Iron Man pajamas, so I guess I'm just gonna eat shit, shaking my head.
You can wake Iron Man. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying
Yeah,
stuff.
fuck
It's just-
Iron Man.
This is entertainment. This is show business, guys. You gotta speak a little bit louder, use a little bit of hyperbole. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Relax.
for sure.
It's all good fun. You
Yeah.
can wear whatever pajamas you like. You can like whatever you like as well. And just, stir the pot a little bit.
Of course.
Take it all with a grain of salt. It's all good. It's all love, guys.
But the new Cowboy Bebop is like the only really good part about it. I feel like is that Yoko Kanno did more music for it.
True.
And because that original, I actually watched the original Cowboy Bebop recently,
Okay.
and I kind of
good
realized
stuff.
that it was like the music in that was what really hooked onto me.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know, some of the the episodic nature of the original, I never loved totally. Like, I wished it was a little more serialized, I think. But the
I feel
music
that.
is fucking incredible. Like I'm obsessed with Yoko Kanno.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's iconic.
But yeah, I think the new one is just it's not like total garbage, but it's just indicative of.
It's not even that these things are garbage. They may be very good, and they may be very well produced and excellent, but I'm just not interested. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't interest me. It's not.
You're
I'm not
missing
interested.
out.
I don't care that much. I don't really care. There's really, really very little that could sway me to watch these things. that
I'm
are
just kidding. I
based
haven't
on
watched it.
pieces of media that I already like and already have the vision of the
Are
person
you guys
who
going to
made
see
it.
the Super Mario Brothers movie starring Chris Pratt?
No. Of course not.
It's got to be better
Stupid.
than the original Super Mario Brothers movie.
No, the original one's great because it has nothing to do with the fucking video game. That's why it's great, because it's bizarre. It makes no fucking sense.
It's a fever dream of a movie.
That's why it's good, because it's bizarre.
They
It
should have
took the
called it
source
something else,
material
like
and,
Doki Doki Panic 2.
No, they should actually call it Super Mario Brothers word for word
Could you just
original.
say-
I love that because it's like a fucking it's like a joke, and that's what I liked about it was that it's such a bad movie and it disappoints so many people who want to see this game that has no plot whatsoever be translated to screen. Give me a fucking break. Mario doesn't make any fucking sense. This is the only way you could translate it to screen is by doing something that's I don't know, let's make dinosaurs evolve into people and you get zapped into a dimension and the Goombas are just guys with small heads. It's brilliant. It's so ridiculous. It's so disappointing that it's good.
what do you are you into movies at all? Like, do you?
I love
watch
movies. I'm huge into film, actually.
Oh yeah. He likes to watch
love
the
obscure
giant
films.
claw
All I-
equivalent of films.
Yeah, of course.
What's like what are some good movies recently?
Some good movies recently.
I want to know
watched
this
recently.
too.
I watched recently. Like they're like new movies, or
Yeah,
just movies I've watched recently.
In the just in the last few years, I would say. Claus is getting pissed that we're talking about. stuff.
Yeah, there's some good questions in chat, but you know.
Oh, with you.
Um,
Go ahead. Should we dig a question?
I want to
I'll
know about
dig
the good recent movies too, but Pacific Plaza says, "Did you write for TMT?"
Yeah, it's
What
like
is?
mixtapes. So, yeah, I did write for Tiny.
Oh, Tiny
Mixtapes.
Mixtapes. I'm an idiot.
Yeah,
That's cool. Okay, I didn't know that.
yeah. Like, I started really early at Tiny Mixtapes, and that was like a whole other community. I honestly feel like Tiny
Oh, that's too
Mixtapes
cool.
needs to get like more recognition for kind of
110%.
Yeah. for sure.
giving early vaporwave like attention and credit, basically.
Right.
Because like that whole community of writers was like basically our entire kind of goal was to just sift through like new music scenes and just kind of try to like point out like, oh, there's like a group of kids somewhere like doing this interesting, and then like, you know, give it a little bit of exposure. So like like so many people there were obsessed with like the early vaporwave stuff,
That's sick.
and like I probably like still some of the only like in-depth like critical attention given to some of that music. But yeah, I used to I just couldn't keep writing. Like at a certain point I realized that like essentially criticizing music was too much of like, I was like too neurotic for it. Like every one of my reviews, I just started like thinking like, what is taste? Like, what does it mean
Right.
to like something or to dislike something?
Subjective
like-
versus objective quality.
It's like, I couldn't just be happy with being like, I like this, and like have it be said as like a factual statement.
I feel that. I used to
So,
write
yeah.
reviews for my own old defunct site, so I feel that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you come to the same conclusion?
No,
or,
man.
like-
I mean, nobody read my shit, so I just wrote, here's what I like and why I like it, and let me describe it for you, so hopefully you'll check it out. That was all I wanted to do.
yeah.
know.
I feel like there's that approach. There's like a more like musicologist approach where you're just like kind of looking at the music from a historical context.
I think Pitchfork does that a lot. Oh, this has been done before.
or
6.7.
just like, yeah, like where does this come from? Like what scene is making it? Like what are the roots? You know, that kind
I
of.
respect that, but I'm not smart enough
Yeah.
to do that.
I guess I kind of prefer that kind of writing because it's just more like, it feels less like you're just, other writing when it's very opinionated is just like, it's just talking about the writer. It's just like,
I agree.
Oh,
it's
man.
basically the writer talking about themselves.
I always hate. Yeah, I always
You're
hate.
not
You ever
wrong.
watch like a documentary where the documentarian doesn't have enough like information about the subject, so it starts off with them talking about themselves and their experience with it. When I was growing
Yeah,
up,
that shit is
I was
so
a big
boring.
fan of this, and I decided to make a documentary. Well, then like here's some photos
Like,
of me as
what?
a child
You're padding
enjoying
time.
the subject of the documentary. Like I hate when documentary filmmakers do that
They-
shit, and I hate when reviewers do it as
Or
well.
like at the beginning of a recipe.
I
Oh,
think
my
that-
Meemaw used to always make this when we were kids. Like, shut the fuck up and give us a recipe.
I don't care about your Mima. Give us the recipe. Yeah, I agree. I see. So I do like rock or music journalism / criticism when it is talking more about the history of something and what leads up to it. Because at the end of the day, most people who are music critics are not musicians. So like
True.
the way that they can criticize something and put something in perspective is by being students of the thing they are criticizing, right? Like that's how film criticism works too. Those people don't make films, but they are film critics because they have a PhD in understanding and experiencing film and like the directors, the locations, the things going on at the time, the source material, the yada yada yada. That's how you become a trusted critic and an interesting critic. It's not just by like putting on the music and being like, meh, you know, I don't know, it was pretty groovy, but not groovy enough. I've heard groovier. It's like, oh, have you? Can you describe groovier? What does the word mean?
No shit, right?
Where's the origin of groovy? Who was the first musician? You know, blah, 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 blah. You know, this is a very silly thing I'm saying right now, but at the end of the day, like that's how criticism works, right? That's how you distinguish someone who's a critic from just some armchair person making comments about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, usually it's like, I feel like some of the best.
Yeah, that's right, Quiz.
Some of the best criticism is like art that the person's made. Like, if you go to like the '60s, like Jean-Luc Godard and like Francis Truffaut and like all the French New Wave like films, like they were all film critics.
Man,
and like, and they would write about it, but I feel like their most successful expression of criticism was like making their own movies, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, my
kind of like that with music. Like, it's like there's things I hear in music that I wish were a certain way, and like maybe I don't hear it in one artist, but my response to that is to like make my own music, like make my own take on it, and I feel like that's, you know, I feel like that for me is more successful than if I was to write about music.
Ooh,
basically.
Yeah,
I like that.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite film directors is Peter Greenaway, and I feel like that's how he approaches films as well. It is literally like a criticism about what he wants to see, but also he's like extremely erudite and knows a lot about about art. He was a draftsman before he was even a filmmaker. So, you know, a lot of his films are usually based around either an artistic subject, or they're even filmed in a way that is to be an expression of an artistic style. So, you know, like his criticisms of film is his response is just like you said with the new wave artist, is in the work itself. You know what I mean? Like there's another filmmaker named Lech Majewski, which I will highly recommend to people. He's made some movies like Valley of Dogs and Valley of Gods. He's a very interesting art house filmmaker who specifically makes films to express something and to make beautiful art, and like story and narrative be damned, you know. And I you know what I mean, but feelings. And you know what's really funny is people like think it's really shitty when like
let's zoom in on it.
You know, like removes narrative from something, and people think like, oh, so pretentious. Well, no story, whatever. Oh, so stupid. I mean, come on, there's no story. Why should I like it? Go fuck yourself. The story is in the feelings. The story is in the moods, the emotions. The story is underneath the superficialities. Like, people think it's so fucking pretentious to make music or art or movies that don't have a very obvious narrative. Like, they're like, well, it's so stupid. Like, you think you're just better than it? They're just doing it to be. No, man, they're doing it because they're operating on a level of, do you feel this? Why am I big and small? What's going on here, Isaac?
Because it's funny.
All right. It's good. I support it fully then. But, you know, like, I don't think that. I think that there's different ways to have structure, and you don't necessarily have to have a traditional narrative to have structure. I don't know. Like, I'm so sick and tired of people being like, it's pretentious to not have a plot. Go fuck yourself. Then don't go fucking watch it. Then I don't care. Then it's pretentious. If you think it's pretentious, I think you're fucking Philistine. Well, I guess we've reached a standstill, haven't we? Go
what
fuck
an
yourself.
Impasse. Hey, Pacific Plaza had a really, really good question. He wants to know if there were any reviews you were particularly proud of that you wrote, Keith.
Jeez, not really. Like, I was young. It was a while ago, and I feel like, in retrospect, like I was a pretty shitty writer. So,
says you.
No, I honestly no. Like, don't look at any of them. I think I wrote up like
Lux, do you think?
I might have written like a disintegration loops thing, like a year-end.
Oh, the disintegration loops, yeah.
William Basinski.
They released that on vinyl recently, the disintegration loops, and it's like 12 vinyls. I can't even imagine. They did. That was like I think a year ago they did
That's some
that.
caretaker shit.
Yeah.
You wrote
I'm
about the
all-
disintegration loops. That's like that is you want to go into experimental music journalism, you've got to start with the disintegration loops. and
sounds
comments
like
on
it.
I feel like even that's become kind of a meme. Like
It's completely a meme now. It's totally a meme.
Chris,
I think I brought up just how like it was so closely related to like 9/11 imagery, like, and how I feel it's like people think now he kind of like used that like in a kind of maybe deceitful way or something, like
interesting.
using 9/11 imagery to like sell your album or whatever.
Yeah, I kind of like, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know. When I heard it, I just thought it was like incredibly beautiful and like
Yeah.
I've always loved that album. Yeah, found it. But yeah, I'm not proud of my writing. I'll just say that.
I bet it's better than you think that it is.
Maybe,
I mean, it's
but-
every artist's nature to self-criticize.
Do you know how often Pacific Plaza says that Dr. Chris is hip with the kids? The kids are saying vinyls now. Apparently, vinyl as plural is dead. I do this all the time. I'm always saying vinyls, and I swear to God, I'm always getting shit for it from music heads. Pacific Plaza. Also, Basement Labs gave me shit for it too recently. You know, oh man, Mike gave me shit about this too recently. I'll never be able to correct myself. I'm gonna blame it on can I say it's a South Jersey thing? Can I do that?
A
Can I
South
blame it on
Jersey
that?
thing.
Yeah, and not me just being
Chris,
lazy
did you see that
or
Nathan
with grammar.
posted that tweet that we were talking about earlier today? Can someone explain to me why people who play guitar have decided to revive shoegaze/dream pop and embrace dumb retro shit like Weezer
what-
in an
are you
era
talking
filled with
about,
violence,
drummer
economic
from
inequality?
Bikini Kill's
Yeah.
quote.
I was like, Chris, you got to say something about this stupid tweet.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's complicated because it's something that, you know. So I think Toby Vall, right? She was one of the co-founders of Bikini Kill, along with Kathleen Hanna. Yeah. So she made that comment, and you know, it's like you definitely. I don't even remember what it was exactly. What was the quote again? I don't remember.
I guess she was pissed that people were they were reviving guitar music, but they were just doing it for fun instead of making political music. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, you're always right when you say that, right? I mean, that's always right, but at the same time, Hannah's like reviving La Tigra and like not paying as much attention to Bikini Kill, so I figured I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe this was some misplaced anger. That's what I thought. I like saw that tweet and was like, well, this is coinciding with Kathleen Hanna reviving La Tigra and maybe not paying as much attention to the Bikini Kill revival any longer. And maybe she's mad and now she doesn't know where to put her anger and she put it on Twitter. That's what I thought.
We got a couple
That's
people in
my
the chat
thoughts.
that really want to know the answer to the question that Pacific Plaza asked. Keith, can you read it?
Yeah, how did I develop the Octopad drum pad live performance? First of all, who is Pacific Plaza?
It's Alex. Alex, our buddy Alex from Pacific Plaza. He's been on this show before. The excellent human being, Alex. Love him very much.
Big love
I
for
feel like-
Alex.
That's a virtual memory, a hero in the scene, in my opinion.
I've seen that name before, but I didn't know if they were in like the This Dynamic Shroud Discord or what.
Oh yeah. No, that's Alex. That's Alex.
Yeah, but so the drum pad I use live is called like an SPDX, like it's like a Roland drum pad sampler. And basically you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those things? Like it's like every live band uses one. It's just like the drummer always has it like next to their kit. And it's always like just has some like bongo sound or something on it.
Oh, it's just like an electronic pad they can hit?
Yeah, like so they'll be playing like a drum beat and then just like hit, you know, like need a sampled sound.
I got you.
And kind of
I think
use it that.
yeah, George used to use one of those.
But yeah, so it was the only one of those I could find where you could like kind of have an expressive performance on it. Like, so you can load samples onto the pads, and like if you hit one sample, it triggers. Then you can like hit it multiple times, and it will like kind of swell on top of each other. So like you can like basically create an ebb and flow of sound with it. That I don't know any other instrument you can do that on. So yeah, that was like the basis for that performance style. Just like deconstructing tracks I've made on the computer, turning them into tiny little samples, and like loading them onto this drum pad and like making a new performance or arrangement of the songs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Damn. That's pretty
So it's
fucking
like-
cool.
Yeah, it's fun. It takes forever.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how long that takes. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, honestly, but
Looks really
Well,
cool.
you guys want to go into our shout-outs section of today's broadcast?
Oh no, are we done already?
We're 5
So
minutes
sad.
away from...
this. I swear to God, this show always goes by so fast. I just
it
want
does.
to say I am sorry if I was too aggressive occasionally tonight, but you know, it gets the pot stirring. It's fun. It's entertainment, folks. You know,
This is
No,
the kind
I-
of entertainment I always dreamed of.
it's
So,
entertainment, folks.
have you one real quick? Like I watched the Beatles documentary recently.
Yeah, I
and
did
it
too.
just- like it reminded me so much of just like a Twitch stream. Like
Really?
yeah, it just was like I loved it, but it was just like so mundane and just like yeah, just like it reminded me of watching like Magic the Gathering on Twitch or something. Just like
You think it's mundane now? Can you imagine how many hours Peter Jackson had to watch? And that's like the exciting stuff that he cut it down to.
Oh, Peter Jackson made it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's directed and edited it. Well, he edited it down. There was like wasn't there like just like 48? How many hours worth of footage was there? I don't even know, but it was hours and hours. And then they made the original the cuts for that, and they cut it down to like 12 or 18 hours, and then they had to cut it down from that again. And like this is what they ended up with. So it's like you think it's mundane now. Can you imagine the rest of it?
yeah, I mean
Jesus.
I love that it's mundane. Like that's
I
my
do
favorite.
too. I loved it.
Like just yeah, I feel like I hope more movies and stuff go in that direction of just like mimicking like live stream stuff where it's just the feeling of like hanging out with someone. I feel like is an untapped like area that
Yeah.
is like infinitely watchable in my opinion.
That's a
It's
really
true, but is it
interesting concept.
watchable because it was edited to be watchable?
It, that's a good question. I don't know.
It might have been edited to be. Once again, remember, Peter Jackson had originally.
Yeah. Sorry, you're cutting out again.
So yeah, Peter Jackson had dozens of hours of footage originally. So he created the illusion of making this be watchable. And like, wow, just 4 guys, and a girlfriend hanging out, making music. You know, stuff turns into this, just chilling, being buddies, and it was edited to make you believe that it was just that easy and it's just that watchable. But maybe it wasn't. And you know, that's like, you know, this is like one of the most famous directors around that
True.
was at the helm of this project. So like, I don't think anything is accidental. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, it's like I can watch like footage of someone like making a painting
That's
just
true.
like uninterrupted for like 2 hours. I don't know. It's just
That's true, but painting is a bit more of a meditative experience than 4 guys in a band clanging
Yeah.
around trying to make a song happen. Like there's definitely many times, even in the documentary, where they're just like singing "Get Back" over and over and over
Oh, really?
again.
How long is this
Over and over and over,
documentary?
to the point where I think like John Lennon's ready to quit.
well,
I don't know. It's like 4 parts, right? 2 hours for each part.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus. 8 hours of the Beatles?
That's amazing. I would totally watch. I'd watch 16 hours of the Beatles. I love the Beatles
I respect
very
it.
much. I only know how to play instruments very well because of the Beatles. When I was younger, I avoided them like the plague because I was very punk and hardcore, and I'm like, they don't have anything to learn from these assholes. And then like I hit a wall with my music writing, right? And I just was like, well, let's see what all the hype's about. So I just started learning to play their songs on guitar, and it wasn't like I was like, you know, I learned about structuring a pop song. You know what I mean? Like, there really is a reason why they're so popular and why they remain so hell heralded, and it's not a conspiracy, because it's just that they are better pop song constructionists than everybody else practically. And I'm not even being hyperbolous when I say that. Like, go around, look at the other people from the era. Every one of those artists, I don't know, man, you learn to play those Beatles songs, you can learn to structure a song. And honestly, the other thing about Beatles songs is if you can play them on guitar and you can sing them in your voice, and it becomes your song now. Like, anybody can pick up a guitar and sing a Beatles song, because it's not like they were the most fabulous singers in the world. And it wasn't the most complex guitar songwriting in the world either. So anybody can get it, play the songs, and sing it in their voice, play it in their style, and then while you're playing it, you just learn how song structures work, how pop hooks work. Oh, this sounds right. Oh, this is fluid. And it's just like, once you I played through all their songs, and then all of a sudden I was 1000% a better songwriter. Well, and in any genre, you know what I mean? I don't write songs that sound like the Beatles, but I'm a better songwriter because I learned to play them. It's how it's and ask anybody who plays a lot of instruments. I don't know, Keith, what do you think?
Sorry, the chat is just cracking me up right
I know,
now.
right?
Oh, Lord, who knows?
I'm dying.
John Lennon never unclogged a toilet with his hand.
Someone please explain that. Did you and Tech both just happen to unclog a toilet with your bare hand in the same week?
No, my story was from a year or so ago.
Okay.
But,
Rest
yeah.
in peace, your hand.
Rest in peace, my hand and my sense of mental security. Yeah, we've all... Has no one else unclogged a toilet with their hand?
I mean, older millennials have. I don't know about those younger ones. That's the divide right there.
Spoiled it.
Soiled it. All right, man. So we are at the end of our broadcast. If we don't wrap it up now, we never will. So we like to do a little section at the end where we give you the floor and you can shout anybody out that you want. You can do some self-promo. Tell us whatever you want. It's you.
Yeah, so I just made a Deathlandemic Shroud album, my first solo DDS.
Hell
and it's
yeah.
only on it's on the subscription, their Bandcamp subscription. But if you want, it's also on YouTube and archive.org. So you can go listen to it.
Just listened to it last night. It was solid.
It's excellent album. Excellent album.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it turned out pretty cool.
It fits into the canon very well.
Yeah. And then for Giant Claw stuff, maybe a month ago, I came up with a live album that's on this label, G-Note Center, a European label. And yeah, that's just my live set.
Okay.
So those are the most recent things that I've done. Yeah. So check that out, I guess.
Got anything coming up?
Let's see, I'm playing a show with Machine Girl.
Wow. Very cool.
Wow, that's going to be such a good show. Oh my God.
Where's it at?
I think that's in February in Cleveland, Ohio.
Wow. Okay.
That'll be the first.
Wow. It's in February?
Yeah.
Awesome,
I would
dude.
Go to that show.
That
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
I'm trying not to play a bunch of shows, but I feel like I couldn't really turn that one down. So
No,
Yeah, right?
You can't.
Machine
I would.
Girl.
I. When is it? Can you post this on your Twitter at some point? Because I would love to see you and Machine Girl play a show. And wow. I've never been to Cleveland. I'd like an excuse to go.
Yeah, I'll post it when I don't even know if they announced that I'm on the show, but it's on their tour that they're doing. So I'll put on Twitter when I know or when they announce it or whatever.
Hell yeah. Very cool.
Oh yeah, man. Wow.
Yeah, you do like Machine Girl?
Yes,
Yeah, they're-
definitely.
Got
Love
respect.
it.
Chris?
Oh, me? What do I have? I am just sent out the ambient album, the side project I'm working
Awesome.
on, Polymath Vampire, which is an ambient side project, a melodic ambient side project the way that album worked was I would take a bunch of my synthesizers, I'd program sequences into them, and I'd weave them around each other, and then I sent them off to some people to add guitars to that, guitar drone guitars to as well. So it's got called Polymath Vampire. I just sent it to Angel to be mastered recently.
Hell
Angel
yeah.
will be mastering it. Fire
friend of the
Tools.
show.
The album features guitar work by Leroy from Hawaii 94, formerly known as Hawaii 94, and he's also of surfing, and it also has Donor Lens on it doing guitar work, Winter Quilt doing guitar work, Tower of the Sun doing guitar work, and our buddy Joel Gold Living Room doing guitar work on it as well. So that's all being mastered right now, and I suppose I'll figure out what to do with it after it's mastered.
Hell yeah, can't wait.
That's it for me right now. That's enough. I got other stuff working on. That's enough for now.
I got a
Chris,
show.
Do you
Go ahead.
Do you still work at the hospital?
I don't. I work in private practice. You're remembering that one time that we were at that show in Philadelphia, and I had to leave. I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital. Goodbye.
Oh, damn.
I talked to you and James for like
Wild.
5 minutes before I had to leave. I don't work at the hospital currently. I am in private practice, private contractor right now. I get hired to go to different practices to do stuff at them.
Yeah, I remember that conversation because you were showing us like photos of. I'm sure, I don't even know if I should
Road
say
rash
that.
and shit.
You were
Ugh.
showing us like.
At least he
gross
posts a trigger warning on his
hospital-
stories.
Yeah, those were all approved. That's okay. Don't worry about it. You're good. You're allowed to look at those because they're public. They're publicly for lectures circuit. It's online, so
gotcha.
you can look at those ones.
Yeah.
But I do realize that they are, regardless of that, they are still, if you're not prepared for that world, it's maybe not the best thing
No,
for people to look at.
I liked seeing that. It was interesting.
You like seeing? I got more.
Oh no,
We'll hang out again soon.
guys! I got a show
Anyways.
coming up in Santa Ana, California. Our very own Pacific
Yeah.
Plaza has joined forces with my collective Rosewood, and we've got a show in Orange County on the 12th of December, 12/12.
Hell yeah.
Headliners Frank Javc, and we got
Woo!
Frank Javc's going to be throwing down along with JC Eris, DS Dude, Keb, Vaporwave Shine, Pacific Plaza himself doing a back-to-back with Mittens, and me doing a 50-minute back-to-back with Feats. We're going to be throwing some lo-fi house tracks back-to-back.
How fun.
Oh man,
That sounds
we're
so
excited.
fun.
So come on down to FTG Warehouse, 7 p.m. doors open in Santa Ana.
You're doing so many shows, man.
I'm trying, man. If people want me to play, I will go. Even if I end
Why
up in
would
the
people
hole,
not
I
want
will
you to
go.
play? This is basically like the greatest vaporwave DJ of all time. You gotta have Isaac at your show.
You're too kind, but you know what, man? Like I really put my blood, sweat, and tears into it, and Lo-Fi
it
House
shows.
is my favorite. So I can't wait.
We gotta do a show in Philadelphia at some point. in
Oh,
our
dude,
lifetime, buddy.
I can't wait, buddy. And so that's it for tonight's broadcast. But guess what? If you tune in the next couple weeks, you get to see our very dear friend Golden Living Room on Hot Takes.
I love that guy.
We're going to
Love
bring Joel on here in 2 weeks. So be here, same time, same place. That's 7 p.m. Pacific Standard. Twitch.tv/Hot Takes Vapor. Follow us, retweet us, bring your friends, tune in, listen to the podcast, and of course, follow Keith. Buy Keith's art, buy Keith's music. Thank you so much for being here. We really enjoyed
Yes,
talking to you,
absolutely.
and thank you.
for sure. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everybody that tuned in for being
Love
here.
having you on.
We'll see you guys in a couple
absolutely.
weeks.
And keep your takes hot, but your heart warm. Be nice
Oh,
to each
man.
other. Despite the crazy shit you might say once in a
We're-
while.
we're gonna
keep their
have-
soul nice.
We're going to have to end on that perfect note. Good night, guys.
Bye.
That's a hot take.
Swing it around American flag, because that's what America's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like permanently chill.
The insurance commercial has a fat ass, but like no personality.
Yeah, I feel like sitting here and listening to this.
No, god damn it. Isaac, New Noise is not the first fucking refused album.
Rip Isaac a new one today. Do you know what I mean? Like.
Don't touch my records. Ever.